Hello there, Ian here, and great to be with you again on this lovely morning. And I very much hope that this message catches you well in your health and in spirit. I also hope your week's going well and that any projects that you're working on are currently still within their time and budget estimates. And that really forms the core of this week's idea. Can you remember missing a deadline with a project? Any deadline, moving house, producing a document or a report. I've missed loads in my life, both big and small. And one of my favourite authors famously said, I love deadlines. His name was Douglas Adams. He said, I love deadlines. I like the whooshing sound they make as they pass by. Well, joking aside, missing deadlines is extremely common. It's nothing to be proud about, joking aside, and it can cause a lot of frustration, it can cost a lot of money, and it can let people down when we don't uphold our commitments and our promises to our other team members or friends. But missing deadlines is extremely common. And I've got some clues for us that could hopefully address those problems and help us hit deadlines in the future. Sometimes we look at projects that overrun and say that it's due to work inefficiencies, people are not performing at their best. But the research shows us that in many projects, people are working very hard. It's not through a lack of commitment or slacking off on the job that these projects overrun. People generally work hard and want to do a good job. But let's look at the examples that are around all over the place. The Sydney Opera House, one of the most iconic buildings in the world, was 10 years late and hugely over budget. Currently, the Brandenburg Airport in Berlin, it was due to open in, I think, October 2011. It's still not finished, and current estimates put that closer to 2021, 10 years late, and already by 2012, the cost was effectively double what they estimated. So, where are the clues, and what can we do to help us nail our projects in the future? Well, I've got 4 ideas that I'd like to share with you that the research uncovers and that we can apply easily to our next endeavour and help us hit the goal. So, first idea is this: learn from the past. Now this seems so obvious, but what the research tells us is that we approach every new project with a completely open mind and a blank sheet of paper. What we know is that people continually fail to hit deadlines on projects that were very similar to ones they did in the past, where they also missed the deadlines. We seem to be incapable of learning from our past mistakes and failures. So the first thing is to look at where we missed our deadlines and what went wrong, and bring that thinking into our current projects and our current plan. We seem to assume that there'll be no delays, everything will be okay this time, we'll get the approvals that we need, there'll be no sickness or team member challenges, everything will be okay this time, and we fail to take those lessons from the past. So, learn from past mistakes. Now, if you're doing a project that is very new, you haven't done one similar in the past, then do some research. Talk to your peers, colleagues, or people outside that may have done similar projects and say, how did you get on? What were your challenges? What did you struggle with? Did you hit the deadline, or was it an overrun? Learn from past projects. So that's number 1. Number 2, we tend to suffer from something that the researchers called motivated reasoning. And put more simply, we take an optimistic view because we believe that's what we're going to be rewarded with. If we're doing a project for our superiors or our managers, our senior team, or when we are putting tenders out for new contracts or we're doing projects for customers, they want typically things done as fast as possible, as cheaply as possible. Okay, quality is another issue that we can come to in later videos, but we're often rewarded for giving an optimistic view. When we say how long we really think something's going to take, the pushback is often, well, can't you do it faster? Why will it take you so long? So we tend to look for evidence that supports the optimistic view, and we ignore anything that might delay us or trip us up. So be very careful, particularly when we're submitting things like project tenders, when we are at risk of being overly optimistic about timelines and budgets. So idea number 2 is beware motivated reasoning. Beware giving too optimistic a view, because that's what you're going to be rewarded for. Be realistic with your customers and clients and with your superiors or project sponsors. Number 3, what the research also tells us is that we focus too much on each individual task or module of the project. And we look at that and engineer the timelines and budgets for that one small element of the project, but we forget the end-to-end big picture. What are the dependencies and what needs to be accomplished in order for these things to fit together? We rarely zoom out and look at a big enough picture to get an overall accurate estimate of project times and budgets. So be careful of laser focusing into too much detail and take the big picture view. Number 4, lastly, this is the sort of a wraparound idea. If we've got a good estimate, we've learned from the past, we know how to anticipate problems, we've given a realistic timeline, and we're pretty confident with the big picture view, we can still trip ourselves up when information doesn't flow seamlessly between the project participants. Often misunderstandings can arise, and information that's needed somewhere else might be held up, and a vital piece of the puzzle somewhere else may be missing, causing a mistake. So to minimize this risk, my idea number 4 is have a really healthy flow of information across all of the participants. Now, if you want a model or an analogy for this, look at an ant colony. Now, I know we're not all insects, but ant colonies are fantastically successful. And one of the major reasons, I think, is because all of these creatures, and there are hundreds of thousands of them in each nest, all of these creatures have pretty much all the information they need all the time. The workers go out and find food, they come back, the hive or the nest knows where the food is, they set up relay stations to go and get it, and the environmental control and the health of the nest is very well organized and very well controlled, because all of the organisms, the creatures, have all the information pretty much all the time. So a really healthy, if we come back to our projects, a really healthy way to run a project is to have as much information sharing as you possibly can. Graph things, have daily huddles, daily meetings. I'm a huge advocate of daily short, very snappy huddles where information can be shared and people know exactly what they're going to be doing for the next 8 to 10 hours of work. So a healthy meeting with them and information sharing can help glue the project together and avoid the unforeseen mistakes. So I really hope that that did make sense. Missing deadlines is painful, and it's some sort of, it's almost like accepted practice. Oh, we're going to be late. But when you do nail a deadline, it feels so good. It feels like a huge shot in the arm. How's that project going? Are we on target? Yes, it's done. Even saying it, gives you a buzz of excitement. Done. It feels so good to say it. So don't let this weigh you down. Yeah? Use those four keys. Learn from the past. Beware the over-optimistic view. Zoom out, look at the big picture. Don't get too involved in isolating the tasks. Look at the big picture and share information as regularly as you possibly can. With those four in mind, I hope that your next project nails the deadline, nails the budget, and you look forward to more success in the future. I hope that gave you some ideas. I hope it made sense. I'd love to hear your comments and feedback, and I look forward to sharing with you again soon.